I'm Glenn McGuinness, and this is Outburst. On this show, what advice do you have for the federal government if a second wave hits?
Well, I think right now they should be stockpiling our medical supplies.
If they were going to take any step, just to err on the side of caution, I think that's the most important thing. Health before money.
Again, I think we have to dial it back a little bit at least.
I would suggest everything gets closed down again.
I don't think there should be any more money come out of the economy. I think we're probably being broke now.
But first, as we move forward through COVID-19, many restrictions put in place at the beginning of the pandemic are now being lifted in different jurisdictions across the country. Canadians are out and about spending again, and perhaps hoping that life will return back to what we considered normal. We've been witnessing a dramatic rise in cases in the US, which has drawn criticism that things there were opening too fast. But the spike could also mean that Canada and the world are far from being out of the woods just yet. We posed this question to Canadians. What concerns do you have about the economy reopening?
I think it's going to be a hard one, especially on small businesses and on individuals as well. But hopefully we can all pull together and make it a little bit more bearable and support each other as best we can, especially, locally run businesses and stuff.
Well, I don't know where the money is going to come from. I think Prime Minister Trudeau has done really well, and he's given out a lot of money to a lot of people and organizations, but it seems like our province is broke, so I'm concerned about that.
Personally, me, I was also laid off as most of the Canadians, right? And newcomers to this province. Unfortunately, I don't think that economy will get back soon. At least 2 years, it needs to recover, right? It's not easy to do. And oil industry, I'm talking particular about this region, it needs to get back. So we will see.
Like everyone else, I'm I go to the store, I go to grocery stores and shopping and stuff like that. So and business and that. I am concerned. I'm self-employed, so I have noticed a slowdown in work the last 3 months. But on the positive side, things are starting to pick up a little. So I think if we're in level 3, we start loosening up level 2 and that. Hopefully things will be better.
Oh, that the virus is going to keep on spreading and that people aren't going to be practicing social distancing. Not so much a concern here in Newfoundland. I don't think so far, but around the world, people aren't really paying attention to wearing the masks. I'm not, or staying however far apart. It's hard in the rest of the world. It's so concentrated.
I think we got to start opening up here really quick. It's not just the economy that's suffering, but I think a lot of people's mental health is suffering as well. We're seeing the opioid crisis now going a little bit higher, a lot higher actually. And I think that's affecting mental health, being shut down all this time and people being out of work. So I think that it's starting to way more important now that we get the economy going and get back to normal as soon as possible.
Oh, I think there are a lot of businesses that will just go down the tube. I think a lot of part-time workers are really going to suffer. I'm retired, so it doesn't actually affect me that much. But I'm very worried about it. People don't have the money to go out and support, let's say, restaurants, because most people have been hurt already.
I guess one of my main concerns is, are the stores going to be there? I'm talking about the smaller stores. Are they going to be there when the economy starts to reopen, or we're just going to have the multi-conglomerates?
I think it's really important to support local and keep that in mind, top of mind for the next little bit, and make sure that a lot of these little businesses just don't go under.
Not opening fast enough. They should open, and I think it was a mistake they shut it down the way they did. So it's like learning how to walk again now, baby steps.
People are going to get sick, but I think the focus needs to be here on having a maintainable number of individuals who are in fact sick so that it's not overwhelming our healthcare system. But we need to get back to work.
I'm more worried about like the case being skyrocketing again, just how like we have more people flowing and then people taking less cautious and practicing less social distance, and then the case just become like super like growing fast again. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to agree too, because everyone's been itching to get back into it, like go back to work and go back shopping and everything. So I think it's definitely a good idea to start slowly reopening the economy, but as you said, like a big concern is like a second wave coming up, and we still don't really have a good, strong candidate for a vaccine too, so that's a big concern.
My concern about the economy reopening is that we're going to be putting dollars in front of lives, and that we're going to be pushing to reopen the economy, and that we're going to, unfortunately, going to see a percentage of the population die off as a result of it.
As far as things reopening, I don't really see too much of a hassle. I mean, there's probably going to be some complacency from people, but I think for the most part, I think our economy needs to reopen to kind of keep things running.
I think in terms of the economy reopening, I think it's good because honestly, we have a lot of debt and we can't just keep paying people to stay home. So we need to find the happy medium. Obviously, we do need social distancing measures in place, but I think as long as we're smart about it, we can definitely start opening things up. And if something doesn't work, always go back to closing it, I think. Safety is always first.
Yeah, I think it's great too, to an extent, because people do have to work, they do have to pay off their debts. But also it just comes with that risk of if you open things up, more cases might start open, and then second wave, and then it's back to quarantine. So it comes with its pros and cons, I guess, yeah.
Well, safety, of course, for if you have elderly parents, young children in your life. So that's probably my first concern, is the safety of people that I love.
I'm a senior citizen. I'm 81 years old. But I'm concerned about, Alberta in general and Edmonton in particular. The oil patch is suffering, and it will continue to suffer. The Americans don't seem to help, and Russia and Saudi Arabia, where the oil is, that doesn't help either. So the economy is not good.
You may have heard of the Atlantic travel bubble in eastern Canada, which allows residents of the 4 Atlantic provinces to travel within their borders without having to self-isolate for 14 days, bringing hope to that region's hospitality industry. Canadians have also been permitted to travel to Europe amid the pandemic. We took to the streets to ask Canadians if changes like this will make them want to venture out after months of staying at home. Our question:
will the pandemic make future travel plans less likely for you?
100%. Definitely international travel plans. I don't know, maybe BC and stuff would still be in the cards, but certainly not going to be going over to the States or the Caribbean or anything like that.
I think probably we will go to the closest spots like Vancouver, but I don't think we're going to go to the parks like Jasper and Banff. And I don't think they want us there anyhow. And I think the Vancouverites don't want us there either. So there's no place really to go. You'd have to kind of keep within your own province, I think.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to. I think there's going to be areas that you're going to want to stay away from depending on how different governments react to the pandemic and how many people are still in denial that it exists, or that they don't really care because it's not going to affect them because they're young and they don't have health concerns. I mean, there's going to be lots of places that I'm not going to want to go to. Luckily, in February, before this all sort of hits, my family and I went to Disney World. There's no chance in hell I'd be going to Disney World a month from now or even a year from now. So, yeah, I think travel plans, it's going to be a lot more camping and a lot more places with a lot fewer people.
I think so. I mean, this year already I had to cancel 2 different flights, and I mean, that's okay as long as we're focusing on the health side of things. But as soon as I think we get the go-ahead, I think, and it's safe on both sides to travel to the US or wherever, I think I'll be for it. Yeah, looking forward to it actually.
Yeah, same too. I'm looking forward to travel, but again, like I don't think things are gonna return back to normal for 2-3 years traveling, and you always have that caution now, and people are gonna, I don't know, I'm all for traveling. I'm really excited for it, but again, just so many more cons with it, with you never know what's going to happen in other countries, how they reacted with the COVID, how they quarantined, and if they're testing properly, and if their numbers are down, and if they open up travel, you never know, might come up again. So yeah.
Probably not. I suspect that there are some places where I'm less inclined to go, but I was probably never going to go there anyways. Seeing how different places dealt with COVID-19 and how their responses were. I have, even prior to this issue, I had no intention in going to China, but it's even less so now. But I'm still going to travel. I know that Vegas was canceled for me because of COVID-19, and once I'm able to go there, I'm going to go there.
We have been impacted. We haven't gone anywhere since, I think, the last summer, and we likely won't go anywhere if we have to quarantine.
Oh yeah, for sure. Not so much because not so much because of the fear of traveling and everything, but just all the barriers that there's going to be with that. So yeah, there's going to be a pause before I travel again.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely, yes. I mean, to travel outside of Canada, I would be highly unlikely, at least for the next few years, I would have to say, at least as far as I'm concerned.
As long as this is still around and as long as it's still an issue, I mean, then absolutely, well, without a vaccine, then absolutely not. No, I had actually intended to meet my girlfriend in Florida in the early fall. That is just not going to happen now. It can't.
One of the ways to do that is making it more expensive, and so I think it'll be definitely less accessible for at least people of middle class or lower classes.
Definitely, absolutely, yes. We would often go away for the winter. I have family that lives on Vancouver Island. That's affected us already because we had anticipated going to visit them. So yeah, our plans will definitely be more cautious, a lot more research, and might take a long time before we feel safe.
I don't know. I don't know my comfort level on sitting on an airplane at this point. I'm not sure how I feel, but I'm somebody who does like to travel. So, yeah, that's a hard question.
I do think that it's going to change. There is going to be a shift, like you're saying, in terms of how we travel and the measures that are going to be in place to ensure safety of everybody. I do think that travel might be difficult. From what I'm hearing is that the cost of travel is going to be going up, flights and whatnot, and I think that that's something we can anticipate is going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, I have to cancel all my plans because I go down to Los Angeles a lot. But yeah, I have to put everything on hold right now, and I have to put my plans traveling back to China to visit my family in, I don't know when is the near future, so it depends on when the border is going to open again. So yeah, but we got to do what we have to do to keep ourselves safe and healthy.
Yeah, I would have to agree too. I've been intending to visit my family in the Philippines next year, so I probably think that's not going to happen.
Definitely. Yeah. We just talked about going to Florida in the winter. It's very unlikely we'll go anywhere. Not just to Florida, but you're going through airports and so on and so forth. I think it will make a big difference in the travel industry.
I think the summer I'm just going to spend my money here in the province, and maybe next year spend my money in Canada, help the economy, buy local.
Yes, right now, like I have sons that live away, so there's no way that I can go visit them. They're in BC, so. And likewise, they can't come here.
Not really. No. Once vaccine's out, I'm going to try to go back to what I'm usually used to do, traveling-wise.
Well, you don't really know what the restrictions are like in other countries, so when you go there, of course it's a concern, especially with a small child, for me to travel, like how safe it would be, how vulnerable their population is.
I don't see travel in the works for us for a good while. I mean, I look at the news every morning and, like, you know, Florida, it's a big surge again now. People are, you know, once they're allowed to go out, gather on the beaches, you know, that's what they're doing. They're not taking it seriously.
In the near future, yes. It's hard to say in 5 years, but in the near future, it definitely will.
I enjoy Florida in the winters, unlike St. John's. I'm not so sure if I want to go down there. I think it's a run and gun society, a very sick society down there right now. And I mean that in both ways, if you know what I mean. And I'm not sure that I really feel comfortable.
I think that people just need to learn how to live with this pandemic, because we cannot stay in bubble all the life. The same as my family lives far away, my husband works far away. We need to travel to earn some money. Unfortunately, no one will give me bread and butter in the store for free. So we need to open these borders. People need to travel. People need to get back to normal life.
Which of the following former prime ministers was never a federal cabinet minister? Paul Martin, Jean Chrétien, or Brian Mulroney?
Brian Mulroney. Same.
If I guess, Brian Mulroney.
I gotta say Chrétien.
I'll say Paul Martin.
Jean Chrétien.
Ryan Mulroney. Jean Chrétien.
The answer, Brian Mulroney.
Oh!
Before becoming Prime Minister in 1984, Brian Mulroney had never been a cabinet minister. Mulroney became involved in politics during his university days, but after graduating law school, he became a labor lawyer in Quebec. His work in labor law made him a household name in Quebec, and Mulroney ran for the leadership of the Federal Progressive Conservatives in 1975 and 1983, despite never holding elected office. He won the leadership in 1983 and then became an MP 2 months later in a by-election. When the general election was called a year later, Mulroney led the party to a landslide victory and became the 18th Prime Minister of Canada.
One thing we can perhaps all agree on is that the COVID-19 pandemic has been a learning experience. The same can be said for the federal government and even all levels of government who had to move fast when the pandemic hit. But there's also been some criticism on how fast the federal government moved to mitigate the virus in the beginning. So, if we're faced with another outbreak, what do you recommend they do? Our question.
What advice do you have for the federal government if a second wave hits?
We're going to have to just lock things back down again. That's all there is to it. I mean, if that's, and I don't think it's if the second wave hits, I think it's when the second wave hits. And I think we're just going to have to lock everything back down again and try and hold off and wait for a vaccine.
So I think we'd have to go back to reduction again. And then that would mean socially distancing, not just washing your hands, but also making sure that we don't have gatherings of like more than 50 people, maybe even back down to 5 people. But we did a really good job here in Alberta the first time, and so I hope we can do that again.
I think that they need to be proactive, and I think that they need to understand that the consequences of delaying action is going to be a significant increase in people getting sick, people dying. And so I guess the important thing is they need to be very cognizant of the fact that delay will cause people to lose lives, and it's not going to be an immediate thing. It's going to be 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, and it's just going to keep growing. So be proactive.
I think the government handled pretty well in Canada. So I think they already know what to do if the second wave hits us. And I think they did a good job in putting the measures, the safety measures and everything. So I think they're going to know what to do for sure.
Maybe do a reboot to what we did originally, except I don't want to say that because it's been so nice to have a little bit more relaxed restrictions. But if it does start to, the numbers start to creep up again, I think we have to dial it back a little bit at least.
Well, I think we have to anticipate that could happen, right? We don't know what the outcome is going to be. We don't know if it's going to be worse. We don't know if it's going to be better, but I think being prepared is probably the best stance to take. And assume that it's coming, right? And I think that being proactive beforehand is the best thing that we can do. to sort of combat that.
I
So
think
that's my opinion.
Yeah, and we can take what we've learned from the first wave and from this first experience and getting blasted with this and figuring out the best way to move forward now that we know what this can look like, and especially if the second wave is worse.
I think they know better now what to do and how to prepare better. So with like CERB, CSB, I think that's a good step, and if they improve upon it, make stricter quarantine things, so maybe the second wave is not as big as how it was this time around. I think that's one way the federal government can improve on things. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just if they were going to take any step, just to err on the side of caution. I think that's the most important thing. Health before money.
Play less into like politics and the economy and more about the health of the country first, and then we'll recover later.
As a health worker myself, I think we can use more financial support in the healthcare field, like maybe more support into proper PPE supplying, more support into like staffing, so we can have more people rotating working, so that instead we don't have like healthcare professional burning out.
I think the federal government should go back to probably to what it was before. I don't think there should be any more money come out of the economy. I think we're probably being broke now. In fact, I don't even know where Trudeau's getting all this money. It wasn't there before, and it is now. So are we going to keep borrowing? If so, then we probably will be fringing on the 30s. And of course, everybody knows what that means.
Oh, I think they did a very good job, most of it. And I would do the same thing for the second wave, if possible. Shut down, shut down, shut down.
Somebody asked me that the other day, and I feel we're better prepared. I mean, once you go through it, you know, okay, we don't want to go back, but I think people are better prepared. So I think the people of the country can survive a second one better. I don't know where the government's going to get extra money to kind of go through this again, you know, like the whole emergency funding that they're doing, you know.
Well, I think right now they should be stockpiling our medical supplies. I'm concerned about that. It seems that our shelves are bare.
Keep doing what they're doing. I mean, they did great first time. Be honest, be straightforward, have daily briefings. But if the second wave's going to hit and it's going to be worse, then they might have to be stricter on the rules.
I think the first wave actually was handled fairly well. I think that our medical system actually did a great job as best as they could. Some provinces obviously handle it better than others. So I think the lockdown was highly necessary, and we'll have to modify it and work from there.
COVID-19 has impacted countless lives around the world, and the changes we were forced to make have helped us to appreciate the things we have, as well as to realize we may have a long way to go yet before society goes back to the way it used to be. So we took to the streets to ask Canadians how long they think that will take. Our question:
when do you anticipate life returning to normal after the pandemic?
I don't think there's going to be a normal, you know, what we've been used to anyway up to the last 3 months. You know, it just feels like, and I don't say this in negative because I'm a positive person, but I just feel that this is going to be this way for a long time, and you know, maybe 10 years, you know.
Well, as my friend said, I think there's never going to be normal as we knew it, you know, and it's going to take, I think we're going to be well into, 2021 before anything gets anyway settled at all.
Well, we're not sure if there's going to be another second phase of this or not. But everything worked out fine for us, pretty good.
I don't think anytime soon. I think about a year, 2 years down the road. That's my views on it. Because we're going to have another outbreak. When, we don't know.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah.
It kind of really affected how you feel about your safety, and in general just how you feel about the safety of your family and your comfort level. It definitely makes you really think twice about a lot of things.
The stores now are empty of product, and the lineups are yay long. And it's because people think that whatever they do, they're going to get the the virus. But when a vaccine comes along, and that's not going to be soon, we may get some normality. Otherwise, I don't see it happening.
This is relatively normal, but I would say until we have a response to the virus itself, it's going to be on and off until we get the second wave and maybe even a third wave. So a year, 2 for sure.
So personally, I feel it's a little bit overblown. I think that we should get back to normal as soon as possible.
Is normal the same as what was before the pandemic? Probably never. I imagine that this is going to be sort of a life-changing event, sort of like 9/11 was. Airports and air travel were never the same, and we gave up a lot of our liberties in the name of security then, and I feel like there's a lot of governments that are going to be pushing the same type of agenda, that we're going to be asked to give up a lot of our conveniences, lots of our liberties in the sake of security. So I think unless we get a vaccine, things are never going to be the same.
I don't think that we will see that. I think people are going to try to be healthier and make better decisions about the way they run their life. So I don't think it is going to be the same.
Tough to say what normal really will be, but I don't think it'll be in 2020. I think maybe next summer, perhaps. Yeah, because, well, preparing for the second wave and all that, I guess, yeah, I can't see it returning for at least another year.
Who knows? We get a second wave, third wave, and I can't predict the future, but it doesn't look good.
We can't really assume that normality is going to be as it once was. It's going to be a long time before things ever get back to normal, if they ever do. So that's my opinion.
I feel very much the same. I think it's going to be years. I think it's going to take a very, very long time.
Like normal, the new normal, or normal. If it's normal, like where we're at concerts and like live events and that sort of thing, probably February of next year, I think, because I expect we'll have a vaccine by then. I don't think we'll have one before then, and we're not going to have mass gatherings until we have a vaccine.
I feel like there's a lot of layers to that. Travel probably won't be the same, class sizes, all that stuff. So yeah, I don't think it will go back to how it was. So.
Thanks for watching this episode of Outburst on the Cable Public Affairs channel. I'm Glenn McGinnis. If you have any comments or questions about this show or any other show, you can find us on social media. You can also find us on our website at www.cpac.ca. It's your turn to speak up, and we're listening.